So Larry Goldberg is here and completely messed up my entire plan for the day, all the script that I wrote, everything else. Just throw it away because I'm going to set it up just a little bit differently, Larry. Brian Wang and I had about a half an hour conversation this morning, just he and I, and we concluded together enthusiastically that Elon Musk absolutely plans to do the data centers in orbit.
Absolutely, he
It's
does.
not even a
There's no
question.
no doubt about
No
it.
doubt about it. And that would mean we need to do the chip fabs. That would mean that we need to do the solar factory in order to make the kind of solar activity that's going to go in, because it's a very different kind of solar panel that goes
Yeah,
up in orbit.
correct.
And then the SpaceX has the ability to make the actual units, the actual satellites, and nobody has anything close to their capability to mass produce
Right,
satellites.
correct.
And then nobody has anything close to the ability to put them in orbit. So it just seemed like this is like not even a question anymore. It's just a matter of when
Yeah,
and how.
and I do want to separate the TeraFab from the data centers in the sky. The
Okay.
TeraFab, well, that's not correct. The TeraFab is necessary for the data
Right.
centers in the
Right.
sky, but they're also necessary for the cybercab fleet
Mm.
at scale.
Yes.
And they're also necessary, for the plans that Elon has for XAI, because XAI will only succeed if it's able to supply massive amount of compute for the users. And I'm
Right.
not talking about the training. I'm talking
Right.
about ultimately the
Right.
users, which is going to be the
The inference chips. Yeah.
inference and the huge amount of data
Right.
and the cooling for that data and the cooling for those data centers and the power usage for those data centers are almost off the clock.
And you have Google coming out the other day and saying that they recognize that this needs to be done as well. And
Absolutely.
so they have their own plans to do this.
It's the only way to the future. And there's nobody but the Musk economy, the Muskonomy, that can put the pieces together.
Yeah.
Nobody.
It's kind of like,
Everybody else would have to buy from different people, and the supply chain becomes horrendous and very expensive. But the Muskonomy can put it together. But there's one problem.
well, let me back up before you get to the problem. So as we said in the AI Rising, it's all about having control over every level of the stack. And
That's right.
only Elon has control over every level of the stack. And this is just an absolute 100% outgrowth of what we did in the book AI Rising. Have you bought your copy yet? Okay. So now what's the big problem, Larry? What's
I
the
bought my
holdup?
copy.
What's holding
I
us
bought my
back?
copy.
You bought your copy. Okay.
Yeah. Look, the problem is money.
Oh, money.
The problem is, we have Tesla,
Yeah.
we have SpaceX,
Yeah.
we have XAI, and then you got Neuralink and Boring Company, all of which play a part in this relationship, but each of which are startups,
Yeah.
and Tesla's like multiple startups going on at the same time, and they all need capital.
Yeah.
And so, none of them independently can do the TeraFab. I mean, the TeraFab, we're talking about $100 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. Easily.
None of them can do the data centers in the sky. We're talking another $50 to $80 billion. So before you begin, and then none of them can independently do Optimus and Robotaxi. I mean, you're talking independently hundreds of billions of dollars of capital. We've got all of $50 billion of capital, of cash in the bank, 40 some billion dollars of cash in the bank at Tesla. We've got $5 or $10 billion cash in the bank in SpaceX. If that, I don't offhand know how much money. And the other companies are all cash hungry. They don't have, well, Neuralink has got a little bit, maybe a couple of billion in the bank. But we're not talking about anything like the scale that we need.
So I understand you've put an article up on X that people can go and read in detail, but how much more fun to hear you go over the plan, verbally. So I think you wanted to put something up on the screen.
Yeah, I do. And let me just say in advance, I've been advancing this idea in thought on your channel, on Herbert's channel, on Farzad's channel, and on X.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's not getting a lot of attention or play because people can't really imagine the numbers in their head. For me, I kind of know these numbers in my head, but I thought I'd get them on paper just to, this is like napkin math. But it's the best kind of math because if it works on a napkin, you can be darn sure that when you really start getting down to it, then you can, you've got an architecture to start with. Now, it could be that when we actually spreadsheet this out in much greater detail, we'll find all the problems. I'm sure 𝐓𝐿 will soon, discover where I'm wrong. But I do believe that the numbers hold up. I do believe that the direction is very correct. So let me sell you the idea.
Okay, you go for it.
So can you see my screen?
In a minute. There it is. Yes.
Okay. So this is a post that I made today on X.
Hmm.
I called it the Muskonomy 2.0.
Wow. Hmm.
Do you like my image?
The image is great. I'm just guessing that Grok 3 point whatever did it because now 4.1 is out.
Yeah, Grok 4 did it.
Oh, Grok 4, okay.
Yeah. I mean, so Grok helped me compose this,
Okay.
and Grok actually put the image up there.
Hmm.
But all the research and helped me do the research, but all the creative work is my own.
And for those who are not using Grok on a daily basis, oh my goodness, Grok 4.1 is, I don't know, 3 times faster. What was
Very good.
taking 30 seconds is now taking 10 seconds. I mean, it's
Yep, it's very good.
absolutely amazing.
So this is a blueprint for a 1.2 trillion physical AI flywheel, and ultimately will build the cash flow necessary for the $1 trillion that we're going to need to start the Mars settlement.
This sounds like some other guy that was looking for $1 trillion to finance his company. I don't know who I'd be talking about, but
So the capital imperative, 3 infrastructure moonshots. This is before we get to Mars. We need
right.
3 moonshots, right?
Yeah.
Not 1, not
Yep.
2,
But
but
3.
3.
Okay.
So data centers in the sky, 7 gigawatts of orbital compute by 2030, launched by Starship, powered by Starlink solar, cooled by space. Somebody said to me, and correctly so, it's actually Tesla solar, but I mean, Starlink in terms of the orbital thing, cooled by space. This will solve the energy problem on Earth.
Hmm. Hmm.
The TeraFab, 300 foundry producing 100 million inference chips per year at less than $1 per trillion operations per second for CyberCab, Optimus, and Grok. Tera operations per second.
Right.
So CyberCab is going to need, the chip,
Right.
whether it's AI5 or AI6, millions are going to be needed.
Yep.
Hundreds of millions. Optimus is going to need it, and we're talking about starting with 10 million optimi per year and rising to 1 billion.
Hmm.
And Grok.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Grok's going to need them for this massive inference that they're going to have to supply. And those 100 million inference chips per year running on Earth in data centers will sap up all the energy that we produce in the United States. So obviously, this is not that viable.
Right. Right.
But the TeraFab is going to cost tens of billions of dollars. tens of billions of
Yeah.
dollars. And I don't think it's going to be one fab. I think it's going to have to be multiple fabs.
Elon said, he said it'll be 10. I mean, this is how far ahead he's already thinking about this.
Yep.
It'll be 10 fabs. That's
Yep.
it. He's already got it planned out. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, right now, the biggest fab company, TSMC,
TSMC. There you go.
Yeah, TSMC have got, dozens of fabs, literally.
Yeah.
And so he's going to be producing more chips than the whole of TSMC. And then the Optimus humanoid robots scaling from 1 million units by the end of 2027 to 10 million units and growing annually to the billions, each requiring its own chip. Yeah.
And not just the chip. I think what you're trying to say is there's going to be a capital cost involved in even accelerating that kind of production, much less if these go into the Tesla fleet as opposed to being sold.
If we get down to $20,000, which is pretty low, I mean, it's quite aspirational. $20,000 a unit, 1 million units by the end of 27 is $20 billion alone.
Yes, right. Yes.
10 million units, we're getting into the 200 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he gets to the billion where we get into the trillions.
Right.
And then Occupy Mars, which is beyond 2030, and this plan is to 2030. So I'm not even thinking about, the amount of money. But my sense is that if he achieves all of these three, the cash flow from this could be unbelievable. I mean, it could be an absolute cash flow bonanza, not only for the company, but as I've shown in my earlier posts, a gigantic boost for the US economy. I mean, and a boost that will change the US economy. These three projects alone, I think, will change the US economy dramatically. It will beggar what we're doing right now.
And by the way, Brian Wang wanted me to say, he didn't know we were doing this, but he did. He wanted to make sure that it was clear in the book. He talks about doing the data centers on Mars. So this would be a step that he thinks ultimately the data centers will be even more effective on Mars than they would be in orbit. So that's part of his.
I kind of disagree with him. Well,
you'll have to read his chapter then, Larry. And
I read his chapter. I disagree with him. And the bottom line is the sun is so much more effective in Earth orbit than it could ever be on Mars, that the amount of energy per square inch, square meter, or whatever you want to turn, is so much greater, and the proximity to Earth is so much closer that you get like a triple whammy advantage. But,
I'm not going to argue with either one of you because it's so far over my head at this point.
Well, here's what's within the realms of your head, probably than ours.
Dollars, yes.
Yeah. So orbital compute, my judgment is that we're talking about $700 billion.
Now that's making the satellites, that's making the solar array, that's making
launching it,
making the chips, and then putting all of that into orbit. About 7 billion.
And connecting it to ground stations, which don't underestimate.
Yeah.
But this is like $100 million per gigawatt, scaled to 7 gigawatts.
Right.
The gigafab, I've estimated $125 billion. This is high, I admit. But I think the build out at $30 billion is a reasonable estimate. I think the 95 billion sustaining means that he has to buy his own chips, right?
Yeah.
So this is the price. This is the price of the chips supplied.
Right.
And we may have double counted a little bit, but not much.
Okay. All right.
But I think this is the right number. Remember, he's not selling the chips to any third party, he's selling it to himself.
Right.
So some of the money is being absorbed in the orbital compute or in the cybercab fleet or in the Optimi, but a huge amount of it is going to be absorbed in the getting the chip to production.
Right.
The build is one thing of all the equipment
Mm-hmm.
and the plant. That I think is fairly accurate, but getting to sustainable production, I think, is going to be the big cost.
Okay.
And then the cybercab fleet, and by 2030, I'm kind of guessing at a 7 million fleet. It could be double, it could be 50% more. I think 10 million is what people have spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think 7 million is a reasonable estimate.
Okay.
And I'm taking a bill of materials of 25K.
Okay.
You'll notice nowhere here have I, squeezed the orange.
No.
I've tried to be reasonable.
Over, not under.
Over, not under.
Right.
And that comes to 175 billion. And the Optimus fleet, again, 7 million annual RAM, 20 to 30 bill of materials, $20 billion pilot line, $70 billion Texas Gigafactory. Here, I'm pretty sure I'm a little bit over the mark.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably $40-50 billion high, I admit.
Okay.
All in all, I may be a couple of $100 billion overestimating all of these.
So you're saying it's only $1 trillion instead of $1.2 trillion.
Roughly. But I think it's good to pad this stuff because you never know what's around the corner. You don't know what's in the shadows, you don't know what's in the corner. But if I were to say that we've got to raise 240 billion over 5 years for this plan, I would be very comfortable, sketching out a capital plan and a development plan and a financing plan for this.
But we're not looking at 240 billion. We're looking at $1 trillion to $1.2 trillion.
I mean, 240 billion a year. I mean, yes.
Oh, a year per year. Okay. All right.
Per year. Yeah. Sorry, 1.2 trillion in total capex. So, it is hard. It is very hard to come up with these numbers, but it really pays to overestimate.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Either way, you can see from this kind of cash flow that when you're doing these 4 huge projects, 4 gigantic projects, unbelievable projects, it's almost impossible to think about. It's almost impossible to think about these things without thinking about what it's needed to raise that kind of capital when the company itself, Tesla itself, is only producing, I don't know, $5, 10, $15 billion a year in cash flow, and SpaceX is only producing $1, 2, 3, $4 billion in cash flow. I mean, it just beggars the size.
And the companies are going to continue to have their own needs for the subsidiary products, building more rockets and putting more what do you call it, mega catcher things.
Well, I think the cash flow is actually post that, but maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right. I honestly think that the orbital compute, is so high that it really subsumes all of that. But
okay, all right.
I don't think I'm under.
Okay.
I think I'm over by a comfortable margin.
So Larry, the question is, if Tesla can't raise this kind of money, SpaceX can't raise this kind of money, xAI clearly can't raise this kind of money, where are we gonna raise the money?
If you put all these assets under one roof, you get an asset that is so large and so potential, and that I think Wall Street will provide the money.
Yeah. Okay.
Because here it is. No single Musk company can fund this. Current cash flows, here it is. Free cash flow, 15 billion, SpaceX 5 billion, xAI has pre-revenue. So we've only got cash flow 20 billion. We're looking for 200 billion. The structural solution, direct control only, pro rata share swap. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but to realistically raise the capital required to achieve the goals that Musk has set, the Musk companies require a corporate structure that can raise and sustain the level of capital needed while keeping Musk in A, majority control of non-Tesla companies, B, while maintaining or improving his minority control of Tesla.
And Elon has mentioned just the other day, actually on 2 different occasions, how he wanted to find a way for Tesla shareholders to take advantage of the SpaceX.
Exactly. So my rules are, the rules of engagement was Musk contributes only his excess shares above 50.1% direct voting control in SpaceX, Boring, and Neuralink.
Okay.
So under no circumstances does he lose control of the underlying assets.
Right.
Secondly, all other shareholders in those companies contribute the same alpha fraction as Musk pro rata. In other words, whatever Musk puts into Tesla, all the other minority shareholders, so everybody gets treated equally.
Right.
And XAI uses full pro rata participation. All shareholders contribute uniformly. Musk's 54% stake remains untouched. So that's the one exception for the purpose of keeping Musk in control.
Okay.
You could get slightly different. He could cede 3.9% direct control, but that's just a nicety. So here's the math. I don't want to spend too much time on it, except to say, in SpaceX he can actually give up more than 50%, whereas in XAI he can only give up, he can't give up very much at all, and that's because he has super voting control of SpaceX. Anyway, the contribution is mainly SpaceX and XAI. The total value is 286,000. The vast bulk of it comes from XAI.
286.
Yeah. But Boring Company Neuralink is.
You said 1,000. Are we talking billion here?
Billion.
Okay.
286 billion. And Tesla is then acquiring 35.6% of SpaceX, 44% of Boring Company, 28.4% of Neuralink, and 69%. Somebody on X did point out that, conglomerates don't get a very high rating on the exchanges, on the public markets.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is this is not a conglomerate. In truth, it is a single embodied AI company. That's the principle.
Larry, I was later on tonight, Brian White will be on, and we talked about it on the channel. This is unprecedented times.
Yes.
We have 7 companies that are controlling half the S&P. 6 of those 7 companies are trying to do breakthrough work in terms of AI at levels that are just unbelievable. And the economy, everything else that we're talking about in terms of AI, again, I hate to keep mentioning it. No, I don't. In the book, we talk about these unprecedented things that AI is going to do. You have to kind of throw away all the rule books. But
I agree.
I agree. But the rule book you can't throw away is you need 120. You need $1.2 trillion, and you got to be able to go to the market and raise that money.
Yeah. And I predict that the market will be very, very interested in this deal. And, far more experienced and far more intelligent people than I will be able to take this and really, massage it into something, that is best digested by the markets. But here's the summary of the transaction. Musk's pre-voting is 78, 90, 70, 54. The post-voting is 50.1 in SpaceX, 50.1 in Boring, 50.1 in Neuralink, and 54% in XAI. I think he could probably give up more in XAI, for a little bit more change here, but that's fine. But this is the value contributed to Tesla. This could increase Tesla's value by 20%. total asset value.
Right.
And certainly will allow them to leverage, much greater debt in the marketplace
Sure.
without, subrogating too many assets. Certainly it'll subrogate the stock that Tesla owns in these companies, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah. Compared to current situation where they can't subrogate anything.
Yeah.
So Musk's direct control is ironclad. He never relies on indirect voting through Tesla. In other words, Tesla owns 25% of those companies. It doesn't matter because he only owns less than 25% of Tesla.
Right.
So he can't influence the vote of Tesla. So we can't count that 25%. He has to have 50 plus 1%, 50 plus one vote, 50% plus one vote of every company in order to ensure that he has voting control of those companies so that they don't get out of hand. He retains 50.1% direct voting control over every private company personally. And that's important as well for the remaining shareholders in those private companies. They invested in Musk, so they want Musk to continue in control, but they're going to get Tesla stock, which gives them much more liquidity.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I can't see why the shareholders in the other companies wouldn't be thrilled.
Yeah, some may not be, but anyway, here's the company, direct Musk voting control, weighted for SpaceX. And then we get all of these good things, founder majority plus board dominance, founder majority plus board dominance in each case. And from the stakeholders' point of view, Musk gets, 22.1% Tesla control, much closer to the 25, much earlier.
Right.
And he can either arrange in the plan to get a small top up where he pays for the additional couple of shares, or better yet, he gets his first 4 tranches. So instead of waiting for a dozen tranches, he gets in 4 tranches, he gets to the 25%. Plus, he starts off at 22.1%. That's a hell of a start. VCs get Tesla shares at $381, what's now $400, or whatever the strike price is. So they get liquidity instantly at a pretty good, price. I mean, I've got Tesla stock, I've got SpaceX stock and XAI stock and Neuralink stock. I wouldn't be averse to getting liquidity in those shares now, in Tesla shares, knowing that Tesla owns the 49% of them, and that puts all of those companies in a much better financial position.
Sure.
For the employees, it's a great windfall in Tesla, and Tesla holders, us shareholders. Now I'm putting myself in the position of a Tesla shareholder. We're going to gain $286 billion in assets, which is immediately like, what is our asset base now? As I recall it, it's about 500 billion. Maybe it's less. Maybe it's 300 and something billion. But this kind of almost doubles our asset base, and it makes our ability to go to markets for, we could get bonds secured by, by Starlink. We can get bonds secured by the TeraFab. We get bond, and so on and so forth. And so we're much, much, much better in terms of finance. And the free cash flow by the end of, by 2030, this may be a little bit aspirational, but we'll be getting, hundreds of billions of dollars in free cash flow by the 2030s.
Yes. I think that most of us think that'll happen anyway, just with Optimus and
well, no, but remember, you're going to add the GigaFab cash flow. You're going to add the Skynet cash flow. You take those 2 cash flows, that's $200 billion over and above what we're going to get from CyberCab.
Yeah.
So that's not small change.
Right.
So then I did a risk mitigation thing. I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we lose the SEC because we get, these are subsidiaries that are not 51% owned, so that, we may consolidate them, but we don't have to report on them and so on and so forth. We're also in a Texas jurisdiction, dilution, our 21% dilution, we get $286 billion in assets plus AI revenue by 2028. I think the market would value this as highly, if not more highly, than it values Tesla and the Robocab.
Well, yeah, in fact, again, when we've talked about how people value Tesla as more about the narrative about the future than they do about the hardware we're building now, this one is going to be even a greater aspiration,
Yes.
but with hardware that we already know is going to make money downstream. So
Yeah.
it's one thing to say, I'm going to build all these labs and I'm going to make the money off of subscriptions every month that I don't know what the competition is going to look like. It's another thing to say, here, lend me some money because I'm just going to build all the stuff I need to get these robots and these cars out there.
So I took a wild stab at looking at a 2035 projection
Okay.
with Musk's incentive plan factored in. I mean, it gets little crazy. Here's my base valuation. Here's my bull valuation.
Okay.
Tesla, Robotaxi, Energy, Skynet, Optimus, and Cybercab, 6 to 8 trillion.
6 to 8 trillion. Okay. All right.
I think I'm being modest.
Yeah, that's modest.
Bull valuation, 8 to 10 trillion.
Okay.
SpaceX alone, 2 to 2.5 trillion. This is Starlink and Mars.
Right.
Bull valuation, 2.5 to 3 trillion. AI Grok, 1 to 1.5 trillion. And I've kind of been very modest here, 1.5 to 2 trillion.
Okay.
Neuralink and Boring, I get to 1 to 1.5.
Okay.
Total Muskonomy, I think the bear, 10 to 13 trillion, bull, 13 to 16 trillion.
And you're still under Elon's statement with regard to what just Robotaxi and Optimus would be worth in 2030.
Yeah, and this is 2035. It's not even 2030.
Yes, yes.
So if you take, 50% of these, which I should have done that, right? If you take 50% of these, so you get 5 to 6 trillion or 6.5 to 8 trillion. So if you take like $7 trillion of these, you got to take Tesla plus 50% of these. So that's 2, 3 to 4, 3.5 to 5, 3.5 to 5, 50% of that is 1.5 to 2.5. That's 14 to 19 trillion estimate.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not a prediction, it's financial engineering blueprint to show how physical AI future could be funded without control risk, without self-dealing, and with ironclad governance. Musk retains 50.1% voting control. Every non-Musk shareholder participates pro rata. Tesla gains $286 billion in strategic assets. Musk obtains an immediately 22.1% stake, rising to 29% by 2035. 1.2 trillion in capital is unlocked.
Yeah, and to your point that you've made a couple of times, you might want to add this to your conclusion, is that all of this helps Elon get to Mars.
Yeah, so that's the point, that this is the beginning, this is the base, this is the foundation for Mars. I think I say this.
I was just saying in the conclusion you didn't repeat, so that's you've said it several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the story.
That's the story. Well, I like your story. I like a lot of aspects of the story. You've been talking about the stock swap for a while anyway. Now you've turned it into a major, big time stock swap between.
Well, all I did is I've said now I've got to actually see that it works,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
and again, coming on top of the fact that, Brian and I just had that conversation this morning about it's got to happen. I don't see any way. We called it like a zero chance that it doesn't happen. Um, uh, Elon's already talked about the fabs. He's already talked about the solar factory. He's already talked about space-based um, data centers. I don't see how he doesn't do the whole thing.
Right. And I think if he doesn't do it, is under the Tesla ban, I think it's going to get a little messy.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it would have to be under the Tesla banner. Well, I love it, Larry. That's two in a row now. Uh, your last post on X was extremely well received.
Yeah.
And then we had um, uh, Phil also get you both you and Phil getting appreciation from Elon on your post, and now you got this one. Yeah, I think you're on a roll.
Well, yeah, and I really don't think Elon can respond to this one because, SEC regs and stuff. But
Nice
I hope
thought.
this I hope this starts a conversation. I'm not sure this is the ideal, the right solution or their chosen right solution, but I think it's a real solution for the group as a whole. We've talked about a single holding company before, and I can understand why Elon doesn't want to get them, mixed up into a public company. He is essentially the holding company of these assets. But there's a lot of disconnect in the corporate sense, not in terms of how these people work together and so on. But
Mhm.
so, and I think, it's time to end that disconnect.
Yeah, I think it's a grand idea. And since this is, Good News Monday, we always have to end on the numbers, Larry. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on with the numbers. So we start off with Tesla, who was, of course, up today 1.13%, and in the after hours, another 0.71. But it was actually, I think, almost a 423 was the high of the day. So I wouldn't be at all shocked to see us go back to 423 tomorrow, depending, of course, on news and things that could happen over the next couple.
Well, the 19th of this month, which is 2 days' time, is guess what?
NVIDIA Day? No. Oh, okay.
And that's really going to decide where the Mag 7 ends up, honestly.
Sure, 100%. Well, NVIDIA was down today, but that doesn't mean it won't be up tomorrow as people try to position themselves for Wednesday.
That's right.
We've also got the September labor numbers coming out on Thursday, so people are very anxious about that. Even though it's September, it's the first nod we'll have towards what's going on.
And there's definitely a sense in the Federal Reserve that they're going to have to do something about employment.
Well, you know what's happening, Larry, because we've been following on my channel. I've been following the Federal Reserve speeches. I've never done this before, and I'm
Yeah.
not doing it. I'm not listening to every one of them myself. I just ask Grok, what happened with the Federal Reserve speeches? I love Grok. Oh my goodness. But what we've got is we've got a completely split Fed. And there's some headlines on that today. Never before, or not never before, but certainly in the time I've been following the Fed, we've never seen, it's always been like 100% or one dissenting vote. I don't know how they get to other than, well, we just decided to be 52-48, or whatever. It's going to be very split.
Yeah. This won't be the first time. There was a very big split, I think, in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was another one, I guess, in the 90s. Yeah, so it won't be the first time, but it's very unusual.
Yeah. So it'll certainly be interesting to see what happens with that. Okay, so then we go ahead to the bonds, which have decided that based on all of this in the after hours, they will now be up again to 4.146. But Larry, I've now put a cap on them. And before, I've always been right on these caps. So 4.15 is my cap. It's bounced off of 4.15 twice. So
From your lips.
And I'm praying for it to go back down into
What do
the
you think the
30.
50-year mortgage bond would carry? What interest rates do you think it would carry?
Yeah, there you go. I think this mortgage idea for the 50-year, people are poo-pooing it, but there's nothing. How does it any different than a 5-year arm? You just get in at a low price, and then if things go wrong, you refinance. I mean, it's just a way to get people started. That's my theory.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I'll ask you another day.
Do you limit it to people aged 30 and below or
Yeah,
40
there
and
you
below?
go. Or 35, because people are getting married a lot later now, maybe 35. Yeah. Or whatever. I mean, again, maybe you're 45 and you finally got your stuff together and but you can't, it's really hard to get it. And by the way, they've also got the 3% downs, even some 0% downs. I mean, tell me how those are less risky or more detrimental to a regular plan, or to the banks for that matter in terms of lending than a
Right,
50-year mortgage. Those are risky. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Okay. So oil hanging out at just under 60. Most people now, most of the headlines are saying that it's going to be really surprising if we go back over 60 on a sustained basis. Just too much oil.
Yeah.
But the opposite is also true, Larry. What are we going to do about this natural gas? Part of what I wanted to talk to you about in my script was the president needs to do something about natural gas. I don't know whether it's jawboning. I don't know whether it's make some himself. We can't have this winter have the electric bills up and the gas bills up. The folks are going to rebel.
I guess they could supplement natural gas purchases uh, by households.
Yeah,
I I don't know how else to do it.
yeah. I'm figuring.
Yeah, I mean the price of natural gas will moderate if there's a consistency of demand. The problem is with natural gas is this demand, goes up and down at such enormous
Right.
swings.
But this is very high right now, and on the inflation thing that Trueflation does, it's showing it up at like, I don't know, 15% inflation or something. So it's not, maybe even higher than that. It was really, really high. Anyway, hopefully the president has a solution for that. Gold down 38 at 4,036, and silver down even more, down 1.99% to under $50 again. So it's been right around 50 now for a while. And gold right around 4,000 for a while. Copper right around $5 for a while. Kind of flattish over like 3 or 4 weeks for all three of those. Any thoughts?
Like the markets are in multiple minds. I mean, it's like, you know, we're in a state of chassis. We're in this point where the economy is expanding at a very significant rate.
Yes.
The market doesn't believe it yet.
Right.
The Federal Reserve doesn't understand the deflationary impact of technology. So, they're clamping down on interest rates. So you've got kind of this situation where the interest rates are killing the consumer. They're killing it's not actually the tariffs, it's the interest rates. They're killing the consumer. They're killing small to medium business. Big business could care less about interest rates and capital. I mean, it's a really screwed up economy.
It is very, very weird. There's no doubt about it. We talked a lot about it. You and I talked about on the Kathy Wood version.
Yeah,
This
people haven't watched our Kathy Wood show. This is explained in great detail and accurate and with accurate, slides.
Yes, and
Uh,
and I don't know whether because it was a week late or because I was out of town or just what, Larry's got very low viewership. So I will be putting the card up right here if you'd like to hear another hour of Randy and Larry yakking. I mean, I'm sorry, explaining things in detail.
But I thought that there was a very compact set of slides that really, got to the
Fantastic.
heart of it.
Oh, it did. It was fantastic. No doubt about it. I really am encouraging people to go listen to that. Bitcoin, did you see?
No, I didn't. I wasn't.
92,000.
Ah,
92,000.
oh, I wouldn't like to be somebody I know very well at this moment in time.
And
Can you imagine being, I mean, if you own this gigantic store of Bitcoin and you sold a whole lot of paper
yeah,
on that gigantic store of Bitcoin on the assumption that it's always up and to the right, you may be facing a little bit of difficulty right now.
are you talking about some strategic company or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ethereum, even worse, down 2 point. No, I'm sorry, it's about the same, down 2.12%.
Tom Lee is about to lose his crown.
He's gonna lose his crown. And I told somebody else today he's gonna give me cover. So I can miss 2 or 3 times over the next few months. And Tom Lee will still be the one going, they're going to be going, look at what happened to Tom Lee. Anyway, we'll
Yeah.
see. Who knows? He thinks it'll still happen. He's
That's
still out
why
there, still out there
that's
talking
why I'm always so harsh about these prognosticators.
about it.
Although Tom Lee has been more right than he's been wrong.
Amazing, absolutely. And I'm late to this. I'm late to the party with Tom Lee, but I'm so impressed. All right, Dow is up 0.14, S&P up 0.18, and the Nasdaq up 0.22 in the pre-market. So that's be good indications for tomorrow. We'll see if there's a follow through.
Yeah. Yeah. Time will tell.
That's right. All right, Larry, you know how we have to end it now until, for the next couple of months, we always have to end talking about the book. So we were asking for your wisdom before, but now we need your wisdom to be narrowly focused on why people would be absolutely nuts not to go out and get this book for $2.99.
Well, it's very simple. The market is swooning. The market for the Mag 7 was swooning because the so-called, bubble was bursting. But if you read the book, you'll understand we're not in a bubble. If you read the book, you'll understand this is a foundation for our future. That foundation may have ups and downs, but my gosh, had you bought Amazon before the bubble burst in 2008, if you bought in 2006, 2007, and you stuck with it, you too could have made $1 million, a fortune, an absolute fortune. So all I can say is that, yeah, there are going to be ups and downs. Yeah, we're going to have these panic attacks. And Wall Street's very good at having panic attacks. But if you read the book, I think you'll see from, some of the best minds, apart from ourselves, some of the best minds in the business, we are on the cusp of a massive, of a change decade, a decade that changes everything. And so, properly positioned in the markets today, I believe over time, you'll do very well.
100%, Larry. That's a very good commercial. And so the information is down in the description, of course, as always. $2.99. You get it in the Kindle version. If you really want to spend the big bucks, you can go to $15.99 and get the Audible. So there you go. Larry, thank you as always for coming on with another amazing. I was going to ask you about medical today. I thought that's what we are going to spend all of our time on. So maybe you could be thinking about medical again, because I think that's another area where the president is going to need to come up with something really solid in the next.
Well, he can have my white paper because I'll tell you, it solves the problem.
There you go. So you should send it to him. I don't know if you
Oh.
know anybody, but
I happen to know somebody.
you happen to know somebody. No surprise. All right, Larry, thanks again. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.